off the coast.
WeatherScope.
Well, the Northeast calms down after the most recent winter storm, but in some areas you should prepare for a blanket of snow when you wake up on Sunday. We'll explain in our forecast. Hi, I'm Christina Abernathy.
And I'm Sharon Resulton. We also have another edition of El Nino Focus a bit later. But we're going to start things out with the Northeast, where things once again have been rather active. Let's show you some scenes first into Boston. You've had rain overnight and through the morning hours. Over 2 inches were recorded, even though the rain diminished to just drizzle later in the day. But be on the lookout for snow accumulation by Sunday morning. We'll have the full details a bit later in your forecast. And the road conditions today in downtown Portland, Maine were, in a word, messy. If you had to be out in this slush today, it was not an easy journey. These conditions are not as bad as sleet or freezing rain, but the roads can still be very slippery, so take care if travel is in your plans. And I'll tell you right now, we've had some nasty weather on up into Maine. The rain has been lingering in that region. It's been coming down in the form of freezing rain because temperatures have been below 32. So we have had some significant icing around Bangor and areas on northward throughout the afternoon and evening. Burlington at 22 degrees, 33 around Albany. Our first system almost out of the picture, not quite, just a little moisture left up there into Maine, but it did produce quite a bit of snowfall. You can see 6 to 12 inches in much of northern New England. Here's a peek now at what's happening, and system number 1 pulling on out, the orange indicating where the freezing rain remains at this hour. That should be tapering off. Look at this next little weak system. It's just enough to produce some more snow. And this go around, many areas here have seen rain changing over to snow. LaGuardia, for instance, all snow. JFK, a mixture of rain and snow. Temperatures in both spots just above the 32-degree mark. Looking at some snow now into Philadelphia. Snow on up into the Albany area. Hasn't started snowing yet into Hartford or Worcester, but we'll be watching those regions because we could find some significant accumulations. In other words, we'll look for a little swath of maybe 3 to 6 inches around the Hudson Valley, stretching on up toward the Berkshires. There's a look at your travel weather, and you can see the white where areas will be rather snowy. Right along coastal areas, probably keep it more of a rain event, but wouldn't be surprised to see at least a few flakes of snow mixing in. Again, most snow amounts will be light. There will be a little swath there where you might find maybe 3 to 6 inches, and we'll check that out in the forecast. There's a look at your radar picture. Looks like the moisture trying to make it up toward Worcester. Snow, as I mentioned, in Albany. We can go further southward, snow into Philly. Again, this is a quick-moving system. It's in, it's out. It's already over for you for the most part, heading down into D.C. That's a look at what's happening in the east. Now for word on the west, here's Christina.
Well, it seems the Northwest can't get a break from rain and wind, and today is no exception. Seattle and Portland received more rain today, and high winds buffeted the coast. Let's check out those current conditions out there, and here's what we see. We've got plenty of cloud cover here over the northwestern U.S., and with those clouds, we have some rain and some snow in the northwest. Although the rain not quite as heavy as it was earlier today, still some showery conditions here. To the south, all's quiet. And then as we head into the northern plains, getting a little more active weather here, you're not only getting snow, but also some icy conditions here, some frozen precipitation. So look out for that. It may cause some problems out there. Where you see the orange, that's where the icy precipitation could be a problem. Snow for the Bitterroots, snow for the Cascades of Washington and Oregon. And again, we are getting a bit of wet weather scattered here and there as the front moved in earlier today, and now just sort of weakening as it moves on in. But you can anticipate more wet weather here in the northwestern U.S. You will have a bit of a break later on tonight and on into tomorrow. The showers should be diminishing, but then tomorrow afternoon, the next system moves in, and it looks to be even more potent than this one. So looks like you'll have more wet weather and maybe some windy conditions too. Seattle raining right now, and Portland, it looks like some more wet weather headed your way. Not a widespread rain at this point. Again, we're just seeing those showery conditions. So Salem up towards Troutdale, the Dalles, look out, wet weather this evening. Again, showery conditions, not necessarily a steady rain. Then as we go on to the north around Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, same for you. Rain moving through right now, but we'll just sort of see showery conditions as we head through the rest of tonight. And snow for the higher elevations, the heaviest amounts in the Cascades of Washington and Oregon, where the higher elevations could get 3 to 6 inches of snow. Sharon?
Well, it is ocean and atmosphere working together that makes El Nino a force for climate change. Jim Cantori explains in tonight's El Nino Focus.
In normal non-El Nino years, the surface of the Pacific Ocean along the coast of South America is cool, about 8 degrees cooler than the surface in the western Pacific. That's because of the trade winds. The prevailing trade winds in this part of the world are from east to west, and those winds push the ocean's surface along with them. That piles warm water up in the western Pacific. Sea level is about 1.5 feet higher near Indonesia than at Ecuador. And because the surface water is moved west, the cold water from deeper levels rises toward the surface off South America, sometimes to within 50 meters. That's called upwelling, and it's responsible for the cold surface temperatures. But in an El Nino, the trade winds diminish, and in some cases actually reverse. Without the trade winds, upwelling diminishes. The cold water from the depths remain far below the surface, and the surface warms. So it is this relationship between the wind and the ocean